Minato is one of the most beloved characters in Naruto, but with all that glaze, none of it is deserved. Minato is one of the most hyped characters in all of Naruto. For years, the story painted him as the guy, the unbeatable prodigy, the genius who set the standard for what a shinobi could be. The dude's reputation was so insane that entire armies supposedly backed out the moment they heard his name. But here's the catch. The level of hype doesn't survive the rest of the series. As the story grows, as power creep takes over, and as new characters show with bigger and crazier abilities, Minato's top of the food chain image stops making sense, and the farther we get into Shippuden, the more it becomes obvious. Minato's legend was basically one big retcon. So today, let's talk about how that happened and see why Minato ended up feeling way more overrated than he was ever meant to be. Early Naruto needed legends to build the world. Hashirama was the god of shinobi, Tobirama invented half the jutsu in the show, the third Hokage was this all-knowing professor, and then you got Minato, Jiraiya's genius student, the fourth Hokage, the guy everyone supposedly feared. Characters didn't just respect him, they talked about him like he walked on water. Well, they all kinda do, but you know. Kakashi worshipped him. Villains referenced him like he was a problem they never wanted to revisit. Even the flashbacks presented him as the flawless prodigy who could do no wrong. But this was all back when Naruto's power scale was tiny. The craziest thing we'd seen was the Nine Tails, the Chidori, and some giant snakes. Minato fit neatly inside that world. The issue is that the story eventually leaves that world behind. So all that early framing, the worship, the myth building, gets stuck in time, and Minato's reputation ends up belonging to a version of Naruto that doesn't exist anymore. When Minato finally appears, the story tries to keep him in that legendary zone. And yeah, he's clearly skilled. He's fast, he's clever, he handled Obito during the Nine Tails attack. But once you strip away the hype and just look at what he actually does, you realize something pretty quickly. His feats just aren't built for the power level the series eventually reaches. He doesn't show master destructive power, crazy durability, broken chakra reserves, genjutsu skill, or anything close to the insane abilities introduced later on. His entire combat style depends on teleportation, seals, and being 2 steps ahead. Cool? Yeah. Legendary forever? Not really. Not once the story starts pumping out characters who can shape mountains, tank nukes, or casually throw around planetary jutsu. Minato was amazing in his tier. The problem is that Naruto outgrew that tier pretty fast. This is where the retcon becomes obvious. As soon as Naruto gets Sage Mode, Minato's pedestal starts wobbling. From there, it's a downhill slide. Every major character introduced in Shippuden ends up pushing Minato further down the ranks. Think about the lineup. Sage Mode Naruto, KCM Naruto, Killer Bee, the 5 Kage in the War, EMS Sasuke, Edo Madara, Rinnegan Obito, 6-Pass Naruto and Sasuke, Dual Mangekyo Sharingan Kakashi, Kaguya. Every one of these characters immediately outclasses Minato in raw power, versatility, or sheer impact. By the time we get to the war, he's not the golden standard. He's not even top 10. He's a highly competent support character who teleports things. The story doesn't openly walk back to the earlier hype, but it doesn't need to. The feats speak for themselves. The new characters just operate in a completely different universe strength-wise. Minato's return in the Fourth War should have reinforced his legendary status. Instead, it exposes how outdated that legend became. He gets the Edo Tensei regeneration, a full QB cloak, insane chakra boost, and even with all that, he's nowhere near Naruto or Sasuke. He's not even close. He ends up spending most of the war teleporting people, saving lives, and playing support. Again, useful, but not greatest ninja who ever lived material. I do like to think if you made it this far into the video that I would be sub box material, so be sure to hit the subscribe button for more videos like this, and hit the like button as it really supports the channel. And while you're at it, be sure to comment in the comment section below whether you agree with me or not so far. Let's get a good discussion going. And then we have the embarrassing moments. Losing an arm, twice, getting caught off guard repeatedly, failing to keep up with 6-pass scale battles. Meanwhile, Naruto's weaving between light speed attacks and slapping around god tier enemies. Sasuke is teleporting his Rinnegan hacks. Madara is soloing entire armies. Minato is doing safe mid-level jutsu. This isn't slander, it's just what the story shows. Why did the Naruto story forget about the legend of Minato? It's pretty simple. The story outgrew Minato's myth. Early Naruto was grounded. Fights were street level, tactical, and focused on technique. Minato was the perfect final evolution of that style, so the world hyped him up because he fit that scale perfectly. But once this theory started jumping into things like Sage Arts, Rinnegan hacks, Jinchuriki forms, 6-pass chakra, alien DNA, world-ending abilities, Minato's entire legend becomes outdated overnight. The story never adjusts what characters said about him, so his early reputation becomes a relic of a completely different version of Naruto. That's the retcon, not because the author meant to change his character, but because everything around him evolved while his hype stayed frozen in time. Once fans see the actual scaling, Minato's reputation splits in two: the character the story kept talking about versus the character the story actually showed. Fans who cling to the old hype have to stretch logic to keep him at the top. They rely on statements instead of feats. Meanwhile, the series keeps handing out ridiculous power-ups to everyone else, leaving Minato stuck in his original lane. And that's how he ends up being called overrated, at least by real ninjas like me. Not because he's a bad character, but because the story built him up to be something it could no longer support. He's a legend from a different version of Naruto that doesn't exist anymore. Minato was built to be the genius of the old era, and within that era, he absolutely earned that reputation. At least somewhat. But the moment Naruto's story exploded into god tier territory, Minato's hype stopped matching the reality of the world around him. The result is one of the clearest retcons in the entire series. Unintentional, but obvious. The greatest ninja ever ends up overshadowed by almost every major powerhouse introduced after him. Minato didn't change, the story did, and it left him behind.